Today we're going to talk about tough conversations in leadership. You know, the ones addressing underperformance, giving negative feedback, resolving disagreements. While our instinct might be to avoid these like the plague, effective leaders do not. They tackle them head on, taking the right approach to ensure that they are resolved smoothly. So let's dive into the why and the how you can do this too. Firstly, let's just address that little question or thought that might be circling round and round your brain right now. I don't really want to do this, and I'm pretty sure that everybody I lead is an adult and they should just deal with things themselves. Well, unfortunately, avoiding a tough conversation does come at a bit of a cost. Unaddressed issues fester, resentment builds, performance left unaddressed usually doesn't improve, it typically goes the other way, and ultimately it damages team morale and productivity. Effective leaders recognise that while tough conversations are tough, they are a very good investment in the long-term health of your team and the organisation. One key reason that I find really pays off is that it actually fosters trust and respect with your team. If you have the ability to front up to those difficult conversations and tackle things early. While the conversation itself might be awkward and uncomfortable, addressing issues directly and honestly does actually build trust with the team, particularly if you do it in a way that shows that you value transparency and you actually want to support team members so that they grow and improve. Avoiding tough conversations can breed suspicion and that you're the type of leader who just likes to brush things under the rug. As awkward as it might be, constructive criticism, even when difficult to deliver and difficult to hear, is essential for development. By addressing shortcomings and providing clear expectations around what you need people to be doing, it actually does build that sense of support, performance, achievement, engagement. It all sounds quite naff, but it is actually true. Think of negative feedback that you yourself have received, particularly the stuff that actually hit home. And it hit home because you knew deep down it was true. Perhaps you were being a little bit lazy. Perhaps you were starting arguments with your partner because you were bored. Whatever. If you know that it hits a little bit when you hear it, it usually means it's true. However, if you can remember those conversations and the things that were happening and how it was addressed to you and what you then did and took away to improve. Remember a time where you received negative feedback and how it changed your behaviour. By addressing issues early and head on, you can prevent them from becoming a really big issue later. Ignoring problems, unfortunately, does not usually allow them to just evaporate and disappear. They usually fester and get worse. And I'm a big advocate for what you're prepared to walk past is what you're prepared to endorse. And that goes for behaviour, performance, anything. A key element of tough conversations is clarity. Don't think that you're handling things super well and continuing to build relationships with your team members if you're taking a bit of a sugarcoating approach to your feedback. If you're saying, oh, you did such great work on that project, I was so pleased with it. It was just a little bit late, but great job. And the issue was that it was 3 weeks late and you missed out on the deadline that it was required to be into your boss, and you got a really big telling off. You were not really giving them the full feedback that they need to hear about why the deadline was important and what it meant. If you're sugarcoating feedback too much, the chances are that they're not actually hearing it. They're only hearing the good stuff. On the flip side, if you're going in real soft and then you're cutting them deep with some really disastrous thing that they've done, they're not going to remember all the stuff at the front anyway. They're only going to remember how you made them feel at the end, and that it was a little bit traitorous that you went in with that, oh, you did such good work on this, but man, you're an idiot with that stuff. That's not great either. It needs to be really clear so that there are no misunderstandings or offence made. It can feel pretty daunting, but I have some tips on how you can deliver and have tough conversations to make your life easier. And if you do actually get something out of these tips, I would love it if you would subscribe and like. First tip is to prepare. Don't just wing it. This can lead to confusion. Make sure that you have really clearly outlined what it is that you are going to address with the individual. It's important to have specific examples, particularly if it's behavior related, so that you can point to those things that they have done or said to make it really clear for them what it is that is the problem. Noting down key points can keep you on track. Tip 2 is to choose the right time and the right place. Opt for a private setting where you can have an uninterrupted conversation. It is not often that it is appropriate to do this conversation in the open where other people can hear. It's also important that you yourself are ready too. Don't go into something in a fit of rage. Give yourself time to calm down so that you are not thoughtless in your approach. Consider the individual themselves and when you think they might be most receptive to receiving any of this feedback. But don't overlook the importance of doing things in the moment too. If you see something that you know you could deal with really quickly and it not be a really big drama, just do it in the moment. Don't wait to collect all these things up and then deliver it to them in this massive sandwich that they're not going to appreciate and they're probably going to have forgotten what it was you were talking about anyway. Tip 3 is to start with empathy and a positive intent. Don't start with the rage. Frame the conversation by making sure that they understand that you want to support them and you want to understand where they're coming from. There could also be things happening with them that you are not aware of, so tread lightly if there's something that seems out of character with them. Tip 4 is to be direct and specific. Don't beat around the bush and don't talk in generalizations. You are always blah blah blah. That never goes down well. People don't like it. Say, I noticed on this occasion that you said this or you did this. Can we talk about that? Clearly state the issue and provide concrete examples. Now, it can be hard, but try to reserve your judgment and just focus on the behaviors and the outcomes. Tip 5, listen actively and wait for them to respond. Tough conversations go both ways. This is not you bleating at them about all the things that they've done wrong. You want to try and truly understand their perspective. Ask open-ended questions and acknowledge their feelings, particularly if it's an emotional situation. I've linked a video on your screen with some tips on how to engage with active listening, so you can cue that next if you like. Tip 6 is to focus on solutions and next steps. The goal of a tough conversation is not to point out somebody's flaws, bad behavior, or poor performance. It's actually to come up with some solutions that they can use so that they're not doing this again. Work on this together. Talk together about what some potential solutions could be that they could use to improve. Discuss these and clearly provide actionable steps, responsibilities, and timeliness. Now, after this tough conversation, don't just breathe a massive sigh of relief and move on. Although you can be relieved that you've tackled it and you've done a good job, it is really important that you loop back. Follow up on progress. If you see that they've actually improved, even if it's only been a week, make sure that you acknowledge that. Show that you are actually seeing the good stuff that they're doing and not just pointing out the bad. It helps ensure that the tough conversation actually leads to positive change and it's not just another awkward thing that you did in your day. If you need some more support with giving feedback, check out the video linked on your screen, and thanks very much for watching.